You think when a woman tests you, the way to win is to say the perfect thing, prove your value, and keep her from pulling away. But the moment you start performing for the test, you've already failed it. You think the pressure is about her. It's not. It's about you. It's about whether you stay solid when the moment stops being comfortable. It's about whether your self-respect is real or whether it disappears the second somebody challenges your ego, your patience, or your need to be liked. And if you need reminders like this, real reminders, not soft lies that keep you weak, subscribe now because you do not need more entertainment. You need truth repeated until your standards get stronger than your emotions. Let's get clear right now. When a woman tests you like this, here's what it really means. She is not just reacting to your words, she is reading your frame. She is reading your nervous system. She is reading whether you know who you are without applause, without reassurance, without immediate cooperation. She is reading whether you can handle tension without turning needy, defensive, fake calm, passive-aggressive, or emotionally sloppy. That is what most men miss. They think the test is in the content. It's not. The test is in your condition. A lot of men make the same mistake. They think every challenge is disrespect. They think every delay is rejection. They think every sharp comment is war. So what do? They over-explain. They chase. They interrogate. They get louder. Or worse, they become polite little hostages, smiling on the outside while panicking on the inside. They start editing themselves in real time. They start asking, what does she want me to say? Wrong question. The better question is, who am I being right now? Because if you lose yourself trying to keep her, you are training her to meet a version of you that does not even exist. That's called self-abandonment. And self-abandonment is expensive. It costs more than the woman. It costs your posture. It costs your clarity. It costs your sleep. It costs your focus. It costs your discipline. It makes you stare at your phone like a servant waiting for a verdict. It makes you rehearse conversations that haven't happened. It makes you betray your own instincts just to avoid a little uncertainty. You stop leading your life. You stop respecting your time. You stop moving with purpose. You stop being a man with direction and become a man in reaction. That is the real loss. Because here is the hard truth. A woman's test does not create weakness in you. It reveals weakness already there. It exposes the places where your identity still depends on external approval. It shows you where you still confuse attention with respect, chemistry with compatibility, and emotional intensity with actual connection. You say you want a strong relationship, but you fold under small pressure. You say you want peace, but you live in performance. You say you want respect, but you negotiate against yourself every time the room gets emotionally uncomfortable. And why does this happen? Root cause, always root cause. It happens because too many men are starving for validation and calling it love. They never built a life that feels solid from the inside, so they need a woman's warmth to feel chosen. And once they need that warmth too much, every shift in energy feels like danger. Then the test comes. A delayed reply, a dismissive tone, a contradiction, a little provocation, a pullback, a challenge to your plans, a moment where she wants to see if your words have spine behind them. And because you are already leaning forward emotionally, you collapse. Not because she is so powerful, because you are too dependent. Needy men always think the test is about winning her over. Grounded men understand the test is about not losing themselves. Read that again in your mind. Not winning her over, not losing yourself. There is a difference between love and leakage. Love is calm. Leakage is compulsion. Love is presence. Leakage is pressure. Love can wait. Leakage needs relief now. Love tells the truth. Leakage says whatever keeps the moment alive. And when a woman tests you, she can feel that difference faster than you can explain it. Women are not only listening to your language, They are feeling your center. They can feel when your confidence is borrowed. They can feel when your boundaries are theater. They can feel when your silence is strong and when your silence is just fear dressed up as strategy. So let's destroy another lie. Winning is not making her submit. Winning is not some manipulative game where you become colder than she is. Winning is not punishing her. Winning is not withholding affection to gain leverage. That is not strength. That is insecurity wearing armor. That is a frightened man trying to regain control through tactics. Real strength does not need to play dead to look powerful. Real strength stays alive, awake, and self-respecting. Real strength does not beg. It also does not perform cruelty. It chooses clarity. So what does the test usually look like? It can be subtle. She questions your decision. She changes the energy after showing interest. She says something provocative just to see if you become emotional. She goes quiet and watches whether you panic. She challenges your boundary and studies whether you enforce it or explain it into weakness. She compares you to someone else. She shows up late and watches whether you tolerate it while pretending you're fine. She gives mixed signals and sees whether you become desperate for certainty. In every version, the surface changes, but the structure stays the same. Pressure enters the room, and your response reveals your level. That's why your mouth is not the main thing being tested. Your nervous system is. Can you breathe and stay present? Can you hear something you don't like without becoming defensive? Can you disagree without turning combative? Can you walk away without theatrics? Can you keep your standards without needing to announce them 10 times? Can you let silence exist without filling it with fear? Because a man who cannot sit in tension will always choose the wrong move. He'll chase when he should pause. He'll argue when he should observe. He'll explain when he should decide. He'll stay when he should leave. He'll leave dramatically when he should simply withdraw his availability and move on. He'll call it passion. No, that's instability. Let me tell you what the man looks like. The man who wins without selling his soul to the moment. He is not loud. He is not thirsty for the last word. He is not obsessed with proving dominance. He has a life to return to. He has work to do, a body to train, a standard to protect, a mission bigger than the current emotional weather. He listens, but he does not fold. He cares, but he does not cling. He is warm without becoming weak. He is calm without becoming passive. He does not fear being misunderstood for 5 minutes if telling the truth is required. He does not rush to repair every ounce of tension because he knows some tension is useful. Some tension reveals character. Some tension exposes incompatibility. Some tension saves you from building your life on fantasy. That man does not say, "How do I keep her interested?" He asks, "Is this aligned with my values? Is this dynamic healthy? Is there reciprocity here? Is there respect here? Am I shrinking to maintain access?" He knows the goal is not to pass random tests from every woman. The goal is to become the kind of man whose center is not available for negotiation. And when you become that man, something changes, not just in dating, in life. You stop living from appetite and start living from alignment. You stop reacting to every emotional spark. You stop worshiping chemistry. You stop mistaking unpredictability for depth. You stop trying to be chosen by people you should be evaluating. You stop asking for permission to protect your peace. You stop bargaining with your own gut. That's power, quiet power, clean power, the kind of power that doesn't need an audience. Now listen carefully, because this is where most men either grow or stay boys forever. A test is not always malicious. Sometimes it is conscious. Sometimes it is unconscious. Sometimes it comes from her past. Sometimes it comes from her own fear, her own uncertainty, her own desire to see whether you are stable enough to be safe with. Sometimes she is trying to discover your character, not destroy your confidence. So stop personalizing everything. Stop turning every challenge into a wound to your pride. The mature question is not, how do I beat her at the game? The mature question is, what does my best self do here? And your best self does not overreact. He sees clearly, he answers simply. He does not chase energy that withdraws. He does not reward disrespect. He does not punish confusion. He observes patterns. He communicates once, maybe twice if the situation deserves grace, and then he lets reality speak. Because presence beats pressure, standards beat speeches, consistency beats intensity, reality beats fantasy. If she tests you with disrespect, your answer is not a lecture. Your answer is distance. If she tests you with mixed signals, your answer is not obsession. Your answer is clarity. If she tests you by crossing a line, your answer is not anger. Your answer is enforcement. If she tests you by pulling back, your answer is not pursuit. Your answer is composure. That's called self-command. And men who have self-command do something rare. They make decisions before their emotions make decisions for them. They know what they tolerate. They know what they don't. They know that boundaries are not threats. Boundaries are instructions. Boundaries are architecture. Boundaries tell the truth about what kind of life you are available for. Without boundaries, love becomes chaos. Without boundaries, attraction becomes addiction. Without boundaries, you don't have a relationship. You have emotional weather and a phone charger. So here's the reframe. The test is not an obstacle in your way. It is an opportunity to see whether you are still operating from fear. It is a mirror. It is exposure. It is training. If you fail it, good. Learn from it. Better to see your cracks now than build a future on top of them. Better to confront your neediness now than call it romance for the next 5 years. Better to realize you fear rejection more than you value respect than to keep pretending you are just a nice guy. No, you are not nice. You are afraid. And until you tell the truth, you cannot become dangerous in the right way. Dangerous to your old habits, dangerous to your self-betrayal, dangerous to every pattern that keeps making you small. So what do you do exactly? Do this. Slow down your reactions. When the emotional temperature rises, lower your speed. Breathe before you speak. Answer the energy, not just the words. Stop trying to fix every awkward moment. Stop over-texting to recover lost control. Stop explaining your worth to someone who can only recognize it if you act beneath it. Stop negotiating after your boundary has already been crossed. Stop treating your attention like a donation to whoever creates the most anxiety in you. Redirect. Put your focus back on your body. Train. Sleep. Eat like you respect your future. Put your focus back on your purpose. Work. Build. Finish things. Put your focus back on your standards. Decide in advance what earns access to you. Put your focus back on your speech. Say less. Mean more. Put your focus back on your time. If someone disrupts your peace repeatedly, reduce access. Put your focus back on observation. Patterns matter more than promises. Then do this. If she is genuinely testing your steadiness with minor tension, remain grounded. Smile if it's playful. Be direct if it's serious. Don't flinch. Don't posture. Don't become a courtroom lawyer for your own value. If she is disrespectful, call it once without emotional leakage. That doesn't work for me. Simple. If it continues, leave. Not to manipulate. Not to scare her. To protect your standard. If she goes quiet, don't chase silence with paragraphs. Let silence reveal what words we're hiding. If she sends mixed signals, stop trying to decode feelings and start responding to behavior. Interest that needs constant interpretation is not interest you should build on. And if you realize the real problem is inside you, if you see that you have been anxious, approval hungry, addicted to being chosen, good. Now you finally have something real to work on. Build a life that does not collapse when one person becomes uncertain. Build friendships, discipline, faith, purpose, physical strength, emotional regulation. Build a schedule you respect. Build habits that keep your mind clean. Build a standard so clear that confusion cannot seduce you for long. Because the man who is busy becoming solid does not fear a test. He may feel it, he may not enjoy it, but he does not break under it. Remember this, the woman is not your enemy. The test is not your enemy. Your unconscious weakness is the enemy. Your compulsion is the enemy. Your addiction to validation is the enemy. Your fantasy is the enemy. Fantasy says, if I just say the right thing, I can make this person choose me. Reality says, if I stay true to myself, the right person will not require me to abandon myself. That is the shift. That is the win. That is how you stop bleeding dignity in the name of connection. Because the truth is, a lot of men are not heartbroken. They are ego broken. They are not grieving love. They are grieving the collapse of an imagined identity. The guy who thought he could control how he is perceived if he just tried hard enough. But you cannot perform your way into real respect. You cannot audition your way into peace. You cannot contort yourself into the right shape for the wrong dynamic. So stand up internally. Even if you are listening to this alone, even if you have failed this test before, even if you have sent the long text, made the emotional call, waited by the phone, accepted what you should have rejected, confused anxiety for passion, and called your own collapse caring. Stand up anyway. Shame is useless if it doesn't become structure. Regret is useless if it doesn't become discipline. Pain is useless if it doesn't become wisdom. This is where it changes. You stop asking, how do I keep her? You start asking, how do I keep my integrity? You stop asking, how do I avoid losing her? You start asking, what am I willing to lose in order to remain myself? You stop asking, what does she want from me? You start asking, what does truth require from me here? And once you live there, you become different. More relaxed, more dangerous, more selective, more attractive, yes, but that becomes secondary because now your value is no longer a performance. It is a structure. It is a way of moving. You no longer need every interaction to end in reassurance. You no longer panic when someone pulls away. You no longer worship attention. You no longer confuse being wanted with being respected. You understand that the strongest move is not always to hold on. Sometimes the strongest move is to release with calm and let life sort the rest. That is what men with self-respect do. They do not force. They do not beg. They do not chase confusion. They do not build on chaos. They do not trade peace for possibility. They do not call instability chemistry. They choose what is clear. They choose what is mutual. They choose what allows them to remain whole. So if a woman tests you like this is how you win. You stay in reality. You stay in your body. You stay with your standards. You tell the truth. You move slowly. You observe. You decide. And if the situation aligns, great. If it doesn't, you do not collapse trying to rescue a fantasy. You let it go and keep your name clean in your own mind. Because in the end, this was never about beating anyone. It was about becoming someone steady, someone clear, someone who does not abandon himself under emotional pressure, someone who can love without kneeling, someone who can care without collapsing, someone who can walk away without hatred and stay without fear. You are not here to chase your worth through other people's moods. You are not here to beg for what should come with mutual respect. You are not here to become smaller so somebody else feels bigger. You are here to stand in truth so fully that anything misaligned exposes itself quickly. You are here to remember that your peace is valuable, your presence is valuable, your time is valuable, your standards are valuable, and your life gets better the moment you act like it. You are the answer, not your text, not your tactic, not your performance. You, your center, your discipline, your self-respect. That is the answer. And if this kind of truth sharpens you, subscribe, because you need consistent clarity in a world that keeps rewarding confusion. Stay close to this channel if you want more truth, more discipline, more clean perspective. And if you're building that stronger self now, you're not alone. You're with men who are done performing and ready to live with real standards.